The key didn't fit the door to my house after my vacation. A shocking betrayal by my own daughter. What happened? I asked, and she shouted, "This is our house now, you old bum." Her husband laughed into the phone. "We'll sell it and pay off my debts." I smiled calmly, ended the conversation, and wrote to my lawyer. Our plan worked. A few minutes later, they started to panic. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. The key slid into the lock, turned halfway, then stopped. I pulled it out, examined the brass teeth under the fading afternoon light, then tried again. Same resistance, like the metal inside had been replaced with something that didn't recognize what I was holding. Someone had replaced the deadbolts while I was supposedly fishing at Lake Conroe. The fishing trip had been deliberate, 7 days away, long enough for desperation to override caution. I walked along the stone pathway toward the side gate. The combination lock still opened with the code I'd set when Lucretia was in college, her birthday backwards. Some things they hadn't thought to change. The backyard looked exactly as I'd left it. I crossed the patchy winter grass to the back door and tried my key there, too. New lock. Same story. Through the kitchen window, I could see the granite countertops. The curtains in the upstairs bedroom shifted slightly. Someone was home, moving around in rooms where I'd lived for 32 years. I walked back to my pickup truck and sat in the driver's seat. I opened my phone, pressed record on the recording app I downloaded 3 months ago, then dialed Lucretia's number and put it on speaker. She answered on the third ring. "What do you want?" "Lucia, my key doesn't work. What happened to the locks?" A pause. Then her voice came back sharper, almost triumphant. "Those aren't your locks anymore, Dad. This is our house now. Mine and Edwin." I heard shuffling. Then Edwin's voice crashed through the speaker, loud and aggressive. "Yeah, listen up, Granville. We own this place now. Got all the paperwork done, legal and everything. We're selling it next week. Going to clear my $340,000 in debts. You had your time living comfortable. Now it's our turn. $340,000. He actually said it out loud, confirmed the exact figure I'd suspected. "I see. Will you two enjoy your evening then?" I ended the call. I played back the last 10 seconds. Edwin's voice came through perfectly. The desperation, the specific dollar amount, the admission of ownership claims, crystal clear. I opened my email, attached the audio file to a message I drafted weeks ago, and added 3 words. Our plan worked. Sent it to Margaret Chen's address. The file was 47 seconds long. Long enough. I started the truck and drove toward downtown Houston. 25 minutes later, I parked outside a modest apartment complex in Midtown. I'd rented apartment 2F 2 months ago, paid 6 months up front in cash. I climbed the stairs, carrying only my fishing gear bag. Inside, on the kitchen table, sat a thick manila folder. The tab read, Moreno, evidence file. I dropped my bag, pulled out a chair, and sat down. Everything I'd gathered over 3 months lay inside, organized chronologically. The defendants had just provided their confession. I spread the folder's contents across the small table. A yellow legal pad filled with dated observations starting November 12th. A flash drive labeled security footage, kitchen, bank statements, Margaret Chen's business card, and photographs showing Edwin's silver Lexus parked outside my house at strange hours, suggesting someone was watching me. 3 months ago, I'd noticed a shift in Lucretia's behavior. She started visiting more frequently, always with questions about my will and estate planning. During one November visit, I caught Edwin measuring the living room walls with a tape measure. I'd smiled and offered him coffee. Inside, the prosecutor's instinct I'd relied on for 35 years started cataloging evidence. 1 month ago, I'd set the trap. I printed a power of attorney template, left the signature line blank, and placed it in a manila envelope along with my house deed. On a Sunday afternoon in early January, I positioned both documents prominently on the kitchen table before Lucretia and Edwin arrived for dinner. At 3:45, I excused myself to the bathroom for 15 minutes, running the water occasionally, giving them time and opportunity. When I returned, the document sat in the same spot, but the envelope's corner was bent slightly different. The deed had been rotated maybe 2 degrees. That night, I opened the security app on my phone. The camera, disguised as a book spine on my study shelf, had a perfect angle on the kitchen table. I selected January 12th, fast-forwarded to 3:47. Edwin glanced toward the hallway. Lucretia nodded once. He pulled out his phone, activated the camera, and started photographing. First the power of attorney, then the house deed. He checked the bathroom door nervously, photographed everything again. His hand shook slightly as he arranged the documents back into their original position. 12 minutes of footage, all backed up. 3 weeks ago, I'd walked into Margaret Chen's office. "Mr. Moreno, you said on the phone this was about property fraud. I need someone who understands property fraud and isn't afraid to file criminal charges when the time comes. I'm going to let them steal from me, and I need you to help me send them to prison for it." "Mr. Moreno, what you're describing is entrapment if we're not careful. But if they act entirely on their own volition, and we simply document their choices," she leaned forward, "I can work with that. It'll cost you, though. This isn't a simple case. We spent 43 minutes reviewing everything. Then we protected the assets. I transferred my vintage car collection, $120,000, and investment portfolio, $340,000, into a newly formed LLC called Moreno Holdings. I moved $180,000 in liquid savings. I left $15,000 in my personal account. They'll go for it," Margaret had said, signing the incorporation papers. Desperate people always do. I wrote her a check for $8,000. Now, sitting in the rental apartment the morning after their theft, I checked my phone. A text from Mr. Patterson, my neighbor, included a photo taken at 11 last night. Every light in my house blazing. Edwin carrying a cardboard box. Lucretia raising a wine glass toward the dining room chandelier. Patrick's caption read, "Looked like they were celebrating something. Wanting to keep an eye on the place." I typed back, "Thanks for watching out, Patrick. Everything's under control. I'd appreciate those extra eyes, though." At 9:15, my phone rang. "Margaret Chen, Granville. We just got a gift. Darlene Webb, the notary, just contacted our office. She notarized your supposed power of attorney 2 weeks ago. Never actually met you. And now she's nervous about the signature. She's willing to testify that she violated notary protocol because Edwin pressured her. This is solid. How soon can we file with the police?" I asked. 2 hours after Margaret's call, I stood outside the Harris County Police Headquarters on Reisner Street. Margaret waited near the entrance, her dark suit crisp. We were directed to the 3rd floor, Economic Crimes Division. The hallway had scuffed linoleum and faded motivational posters. Margaret led us to the last office on the right. The nameplate read Detective Ramon Silva. Silva stood when we entered. "Granville Moreno. Hasn't been what? 7 or 8 years. Though I'm guessing this isn't a social visit." "Raul. Wish it were social. I need to file a criminal complaint. Forgery and property fraud." Margaret settled into her chair. "Detective Silva, my client's daughter and son-in-law, have forged a power of attorney document, fraudulently claimed ownership of his $580,000 home, changed the locks while he was away, and are planning to sell the property illegally. We have documentary evidence, audio recordings, and witness testimony." She began arranging documents on Silva's desk, a timeline chart, and the audio file transcription. 47 seconds of incriminating conversation. Silva leaned forward. "This audio recording, was Mr. Moreno in Texas when he recorded it? And did the other parties know they were being recorded?" "One-party consent applies," Margaret confirmed. "Texas law. My client was in his vehicle in Harris County when the call occurred. The other parties had no expectation of privacy during a phone conversation where one party chose to document it." Silva nodded and picked up his desk phone. "Let me get this to forensic analysis." He dialed an internal extension. "Yeah, I need a rush on document analysis. Possible forgery on a power of attorney. Comparing with known signature samples from the alleged victim. How soon?" 3 days. "Make it work." He hung up and turned to me. "Granville, I need handwriting samples, bank signature cards, old legal documents from your prosecutor days, anything with your legitimate signature." I pulled a folder from Margaret's briefcase. Already prepared. 15 samples spanning 20 years. Silva studied my face, looking for deception. Everything here looks solid, Silva said finally. I'll send the disputed power of attorney to our forensic document examiner along with your signature samples. If someone forged your signature, we'll prove it. Margaret slid another document across the desk. This is a notarized statement from Darlene Webb. She's the notary who certified the power of attorney 2 weeks ago. She admits she never met Mr. Moreno in person, violation of Texas notary protocol. She's willing to testify that something felt wrong about the signature even at the time. Silva read Webb's statement, then placed everything into a clear evidence bag. Mr. Moreno, I need you to sign a statement affirming you never signed this power of attorney document and never authorized anyone to sell your property. I signed without hesitation, my handwriting firm and clear. 5 days crawled by. I stayed in the Midtown apartment. On the 6th morning, my phone rang. Silva. Forensic results are back. Definitive forgery. Ink analysis shows different pen than your signature samples. Pressure points completely wrong. Letter formation inconsistent with your natural hand. We're moving forward with interrogation. Tomorrow morning. The trap was set. The next morning, Edwin and Lucretia arrived at the police station separately. Silva escorted Edwin to an interrogation room first. Edwin leaned back, arms crossed. Granville is 63 years old, starting to lose track of things. He told us clear as day that he wanted us to have the house. Said it made him feel better knowing Lucretia would be taken care of. We were doing him a favor. So Mr. Moreno verbally gave you the house. Told you directly that he wanted you to own it? Absolutely. He was having trouble managing it anyway. Edwin's confidence peaked. Silva reached for his laptop, rotated it so Edwin could see the screen, and clicked play. Edwin's own voice boomed through the speakers. Yeah, listen up, Granville. We own this place now. Got all the paperwork done, legal and everything. We're selling it next week. Going to clear my $340,000 in debts. Edwin's hands gripped the edge of the table. That was taken out of context. What context makes that statement align with your claim that Mr. Moreno willingly gave you the house? Edwin stammered, knowing he was caught. 10 minutes later, Silva brought Lucretia into the same room. She saw Edwin's face and immediately started explaining. He set us up. Don't you see? Dad planned this whole thing. It's entrapment. Silva's expression remained neutral. Ma'am, entrapment is when law enforcement induces someone to commit a crime they wouldn't otherwise commit. Your father isn't law enforcement. He's a private citizen who left his own documents in his own house. You chose to forge his signature. That's on you. Edwin slammed his palm on the table. Shut up, Lucretia. Just shut up. This was your idea. We want a lawyer. This interview is over. Silva stood slowly. You're both persons of interest in an active criminal investigation. Don't leave Harris County. You'll be hearing from the district attorney's office soon. He escorted them out through separate exits. The fracture had begun. For days after the interrogation, Edwin sat in Jimmy Kowalski's office. Kowalski, an expensive defense attorney, outlined the strategy. We don't defend the forgery charges. We attack Granville's credibility and make him the villain. Perfect, because Granville is exactly that kind of guy. Kowalski drew on a whiteboard. The forgery charge is going to be hard to beat if that signature analysis holds up, but we can create enough doubt about context, about his mental state, that even if there's a conviction, it's minimal. And civil court has lower burden of proof. We can win there. He outlined a civil complaint, intentional infliction of emotional distress, financial elder abuse, and a restraining order request. Make him look like a bully using legal expertise to persecute family. What about the newspaper? Edwin asked. Kowalski smiled. Already done. 2 days ago, I arranged an interview with the Houston Chronicle. Lucretia gave her the performance of a lifetime. The interview took place in a conference room. Lucretia, on cue from Kowalski's subtle signals, switched from anger to tears and vulnerability. My father was always so harsh. When he started forgetting things, missing appointments, I tried to help. Now he's turned on me. using his prosecutor training to make me look like a criminal. She implied that his age and possible cognitive decline were factors. 2 days after that interview, I sat in my Midtown rental apartment reading the Houston Chronicle. Page B4, local section headline. Daughter claims elderly father's prosecution is elder abuse gone wrong. The photo showed Lucretia distraught. I underlined specific phrases designed to build the dementia defense, memory problems. Begged her to handle affairs. Doesn't remember. I experienced small social punishments. My neighbor, Mr. Patterson, stopped waving. A grocery cashier looked at me with an uncertain expression. My phone pinged. Text from a former colleague. Hey man, saw the article about you and your daughter. Hope you're doing okay. That afternoon, a process server handed me legal documents. Kowalski had filed a countercomplaint in civil court. Intentional infliction of emotional distress, financial elder abuse, and a request for a restraining order, claiming Lucretia had spent $30,000 on house improvements I'd promised to reimburse, all fabricated. I called Margaret. I just got served. Me too. I'm reading it now. Kowalski is good at this. Really good. He's already poisoned the well with that newspaper article. I've had 3 people call me today asking if you really have dementia. The preliminary hearing isn't until April. 6 weeks of this narrative spreading. Are you sure you're prepared for how dirty this could get? Margaret, I spent 20 years as a prosecutor. I know how defense attorneys operate. They attack credibility because they can't attack facts. Let Kowalski write his fiction. The forensic evidence doesn't care about newspaper articles. Evidence matters, yes, but public perception matters, too. If this goes to trial, we need sympathetic jurors. Right now, you're reading as the villain. Powerful ex-prosecutor bullying his confused daughter. That's a problem. I walked to the kitchen counter, opened my evidence folder, and removed a document labeled Phase 2 financial records that Margaret hadn't seen yet. I have more evidence than what we've shown Silva, I said. I've been documenting Edwin's financial situation, his debts, his desperation. When the time is right, we'll show exactly why they targeted my house. Kowalski doesn't know everything. Neither do you yet. Silence on the other end. Then, what do you mean? Neither do you yet, Granville. What are you telling me? I photographed the first page of the Phase 2 folder with my phone. Sent it to her. Let's just say I have insurance policies, plural. You'll see them when we need them. For now, let Edwin and Kowalski think they're winning. 20 minutes after I sent that cryptic text, Margaret's car pulled up outside my apartment building. I watched from my window, noting her unusual urgency. She knocked once, entered without waiting for invitation. Show me. She dropped her briefcase on the couch. And it better be good, Granville, because I don't appreciate surprises from my own clients. I wasn't hiding it. I was waiting for the right time. Kowalski's counterattack was the right time. Sit down. I spread the documents across the table. August 2024 to January 2025. These were bank statements for the joint account Lucretia shared with Edwin. Every suspicious transaction was highlighted in yellow. Margaret leaned over, tracing the withdrawal patterns. Joint account with Lucretia. You're listed as emergency contact. She looked up. These withdrawals. Edwin's bleeding her dry. $89,000 in 6 months. You watched him do this. I gave Lucretia that money to help with her salon business. Edwin gambled it away. I needed to document the pattern. Show this wasn't about family sentiment. It was about his addiction and desperation. Motive, Margaret. Clear, provable motive. She flipped through the statements. Crypto exchanges, online poker sites, cash advances at ridiculous interest rates. She sat back. This man is drowning, and when drowning people see a lifeboat. She tapped my house deed documents. They don't ask permission to climb aboard. I said, Silva needs to see this today. The preliminary hearing is 5 weeks away. If we introduce financial motive now, it gives the DA time to incorporate it into the criminal charges. Agreed. But when we present this to Silva, let me do the talking about how you obtained these records. 20 minutes later, we were in her silver Lexus, heading downtown. Silva stood when we entered his office. Margaret arranged the financial documents on his desk. Let her provide the legal context, emergency contact status, duplicate statements, all perfectly legal. Silva picked up the first bank statement. You're telling me Edwin burned through $89,000 in 6 months on crypto and gambling? Every transaction documented. I said. The pattern explains his desperation. Silva flipped through the pages. You weren't just gathering evidence for forgery. You were building a conspiracy case. Conspiracy to commit fraud. Yes, he didn't forge my signature impulsively. He planned it. The financial desperation proves premeditation. Silva leaned back in his chair. I'll contact these creditors. If Pinnacle Capital or any of these other lenders can confirm Edwin specifically mentioned your house as future collateral, that strengthens intent. Give me 3 days. 3 days later, Silva called. Granville, your son-in-law is in deeper than we thought. Total debt's closer to $470,000. And here's the kicker. He tried to mortgage your house 5 weeks before you left for Lake Conroe. Bank rejected him for signature fraud. I stood from my chair. He tried to mortgage it first. When that didn't work, he just took it. Based on the creditor timeline, at least 3 months planning, probably longer. The forgery wasn't desperation. It was a calculated scheme. When the subtle approach failed, he went nuclear. 5 weeks passed. The preliminary hearing arrived. Margaret and I met outside the Harris County Criminal Courthouse. Judge Catherine Morrison presided. Jimmy Kowalski stood, arguing for motions. Independent voice analysis on the recording, claiming deep fakes. A neutral expert for signature analysis, and requests for my psychiatric evaluation, the dementia defense. Judge Morrison made notes. Mr. Kowalski, I've read your motions. I'm ordering independent verification precisely because you've raised these questions. Dr. Patricia Sanders will evaluate Mr. Marino's mental state. Dr. Robert Hang from Texas Forensic Institute will re-examine the signature. You'll have your neutral experts. Court reconvenes May 5th when I have their reports. In the hallway, Margaret was composed. Morrison's smart. She knows Kowalski's playing games, but she has to address his objections for the record. You'll pass the psych eval easily. The signature analysis will confirm forgery again. We just have to wait. 2 weeks later, I sat in Dr. Patricia Sanders' office. She showed me words, asked me to draw a clock face. Simple math. I described my simple routine. Every test proved what I already knew. My mind was sharp. The dementia defense was fiction. 4 days after the preliminary hearing, my phone rang. Marcus Herman, an antique dealer who knew me. Someone just tried to sell those exact pieces, Victorian settee and Chippendale table to me. Said they were his. Thought you should know. Edwin was making mistakes faster than I could engineer them. I called Silva immediately. Raoul, Edwin just made another mistake. He tried to sell 2 pieces of my antique furniture. Items worth $15,000 total. That's theft. Intent matters. This isn't about helping you manage property. It's about converting assets to cash. Give me the dealer's statement and those certificates. I'll add theft charges to the complaint. Margaret called that evening. Edwin's unraveling. This furniture stunt was incredibly stupid. That's either desperation or delusion. Either way, it destroys Kowalski's concerned family, helping elderly father narrative. That night, Lucretia confronted Edwin in my house. Edwin, maybe we should just give the house back before this gets worse. Edwin slammed his glass on the coffee table. Give it back. Are you out of your mind? We forged documents. We changed the locks. We're already facing felony charges. Backing out now doesn't make that go away. It just means we get nothing except prison time. I needed $15,000, and those stupid antiques were just sitting there. Your father set this up. He planted that furniture guy. I know he did. My father didn't plant anyone. You're paranoid. You're drinking too much, and you're dragging me down with you. Then leave. Walk away. But remember, you're on those documents, too. Your signature's next to mine on the notary forms. We sink or swim together. 1 week after Edwin's furniture disaster, Detective Silva sat across from Darlene Webb, the notary. She admitted Lucretia had been convincing. showing her a photo on her phone of an elderly man in a car. Did you see Granville Moreno in person at any point? Did he present identification? Did you watch him sign the document? No. Her voice was small. I notarized the signature that was already on the page. I know I shouldn't have. Silva noted that Lucretia's internet search history from 2 days before the notarization contained a stock photo of an elderly man in a car, an image she used to convince the notary. Silva offered an agreement. If she testified truthfully and provided a sworn affidavit, the DA would recommend suspension of her notary commission rather than criminal charges. I'll testify. I made a terrible mistake, and I want to make it right. That same week, the independent expert reports arrived at Judge Morrison's chambers. Dr. Sanders' psychiatric evaluation. No evidence of cognitive impairment, dementia, or diminished capacity. I have insurance policies, plural. You'll see them when we need them. For now, let Edwin and Kowalski think they're winning. 20 minutes later, Margaret's car pulled up outside my apartment building. She entered without waiting for invitation. Show me. I wasn't hiding it. I was waiting for the right time. Kowalski's counterattack was the right time. Sit down. I spread the phase 2 documents. Bank statements for the joint account Lucretia shared with Edwin. The pattern of transactions showed $89,000 lost in 6 months to crypto exchanges, online poker, and cash advances. Margaret noted the evidence. This man is drowning, and when drowning people see a lifeboat, they don't ask permission to climb aboard. She photographed every page. Silva needs to see this today. If we introduce financial motive now, it gives the DA time to incorporate it into the criminal charges. We presented the financial evidence to Detective Silva. He recognized I was building a conspiracy case. After 3 days of follow-up investigation, Silva called. Your son-in-law is in deeper than we thought. Total debts closer to $470,000. And here's the kicker. He tried to mortgage your house 5 weeks before you left for Lake Conroe. Bank rejected him for signature fraud. The forgery was a calculated scheme, not desperation. The independent expert reports arrived at Judge Morrison's chambers. No evidence of cognitive impairment, dementia, or diminished capacity. The forgery analysis confirmed with 98% certainty the signature was not mine. Judge Morrison issued her order. Edwin Carver and Lucretia Moreno must vacate the memorial property within 48 hours. Margaret delivered the news. I warned her they might damage the property. Jimmy Kowalski called Edwin, his voice resigned. The court issued an eviction order. The evidence is overwhelming. You need to start thinking about plea deals and minimizing prison time, not about winning. They filed a futile appeal. At 9:47 p.m. on the second evening, Lucretia called. Daddy, please. It was Edwin's idea. All of it. He manipulated me. I can testify against him. Please don't let them send me to prison. I'm your daughter. I let her finish. Lucretia, you called me an old homeless man. You stood by while Edwin threatened to sell my house for his gambling debts. You forged my signature. You changed my locks. You chose this path. You'll have your day in court. That's all I have to say. I ended the call. At 11:45 a.m. on eviction day, they vacated. At 2 p.m., Margaret and I entered the house. The damage was immediate. The Victorian settee had a broken leg. Hardwood floors showed deep gouges. 2 front windows were cracked, and the master bedroom had signs of water damage. For 3 hours, I documented everything. 147 photos, 12 minutes of video, and a written inventory. Contractor estimates totaled $28,400. Margaret filed a supplementary civil claim for property damage. 3 days later, Edwin attempted to flee. At 6:30 a.m., he drove toward the Mexico border at Laredo. At 9:15 a.m., the CBP officers triggered the alert. Edwin was detained, and Detective Silva drove south to arrest and transport him back to the Harris County Jail. Bail was set at $150,000. Edwin could not afford it. Lucretia lost her employment at the salon due to reputation concerns. I moved back into my house and managed the repairs. Mr. Patterson, my neighbor, approached one evening. Glad to see you back home, Granville. I replied, I appreciate that, Patrick. House is getting repaired. Life moves forward. In late May, Judge Morrison set the trial date, June 16, 2025. Margaret informed me the DA wanted Lucretia to testify against Edwin in exchange for a plea deal of probation instead of prison. I agreed, but only if the deal included full restitution, damage, legal fees, and a restraining order for a minimum of 5 years. The house repairs were complete by June 10th. On June 16th, I drove to the courthouse. Assistant District Attorney Jennifer Walsh opened the case, outlining the charges: forgery, theft over $300,000, property damage, and attempted flight. She concluded, this was calculated theft motivated by financial desperation. The prosecution's case was methodical. Dr. Hang testified to a 99.8% certainty of forgery. Darlene Webb admitted notarizing without my presence. I delivered clear, methodical testimony for 47 minutes. The prosecution played the recording. Edwin's voice filled the courtroom. We're selling it next week. Going to clear my $340,000 in debts. Edwin's cross-examination was a disaster. He was defensive and hostile. At 4:42 p.m., the jury retired. 2 hours and 8 minutes later, they returned a verdict. Edwin Carver was found guilty on all charges: forgery, theft over $300,000, property damage, and attempted flight. Judge Morrison sentenced Edwin Carver to 4 years in Texas Department of Criminal Justice custody, fined $50,000, and ordered him to pay full restitution. He was immediately led away in handcuffs. I deliberately avoided eye contact with Lucretia and left with Margaret. 2 months later, in mid-August, I sat on my front porch. The house was fully restored. Detective Silva visited, bringing beer. We discussed Edwin's situation. At Ramsey Unit, working laundry detail, facing $470,000 in civil judgments that would haunt him for decades. He tried to steal your future to escape his debts, Silva said. Now those debts consumed his future. Margaret called later. The restitution order was finalized, with payments scheduled over 15 years. The case was being written up in the Texas Bar Journal as a model for documentation. I acknowledged the price of the victory. I had my house, my dignity, and justice served, but my daughter was lost to me. I allowed myself one moment of honest grief, then stood, returned inside, and prepared dinner. The key worked. The house was mine. The debts were paid, and I could finally rest. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the right. Thank you for watching.